Good blessed Tuesday night, October the 12th, 2021. It's about 8:33 p.m. I greet all human beings all around the world with the universal greetings of peace and the blessings of God be with you. Doesn't matter what your political, philosophical, personal, nor your religious beliefs may be. Doesn't matter whether you're the richest or the poorest person on the face of this earth. Doesn't matter whether you're the proclaimed toughest to the proclaimed weakest person on the face of this earth. Doesn't matter if you're my family, friends, nor my proclaimed enemies. Doesn't matter whether you like me or anything I put on social internet. Doesn't matter if you give me a thumbs up, thumbs down, whether you give me a compliment or criticize me. Doesn't matter if you're black or white. I greet you all with that same universal greetings. Peace and the blessings of God be with you. Tonight, I want to talk about, again, my son, Bryan Lamont Johns. Tonight, I want to talk about the unprofessional, the unconcerned, the incompetence of the Carbondale Police Department with their so-called death investigation. That's Carbondale, Illinois, it is. The Jackson County, Illinois coroner's office, the pathologist that they hired, the Jackson County, Illinois prosecuting attorney's office. Let's start I don't know how to really put the Jackson County ambulance services in there, but they in there somewhere. Now, first I want to just say, I know everybody is focused on this one case, Gabby Petito, I believe it is. I think it's Petito. The young, I believe, 22-year-old white female that was recently found, I think September the 19th, and she was dead. They say the cause of death was strangulation. And reason why I'm saying this here, because there's some things that was done in her death is similarities of my son's death, which his death was on March the 19th of 2021. Listen to this real close. Now look how the investigation with this young white female, Gabby's investigation. Now, they found her body on September the 19th, 2021. When they did an autopsy, the coroner there, it's a small town, they did an autopsy. He examined her body. He had pathologists and some people that was anthropologists. A lot of different agencies dealt with her body. But the coroner office there, they examined her body. And he said her death was due to strangulation. He couldn't mention, he said, the police or the law enforcement would have to tell us as far as she had any other type of bruises and things on her. Now, it's something that he did and they did, which any place else they'll do besides in Carbondale, Illinois, when it comes to a black male that been to prison, a black male that was on drugs, a black male that was homeless. Such is the way that they did my son. Now, they said that the estimated time of death. You see, when you have all of these doctors with these special degrees like a coroner, medical examiner, pathologist, you can give an estimated, doctors can give an estimate. They can't tell you the exact time of death unless they seen it for themselves or it was videoed. You see, I'm going to take you to something else. Hold on there. When I went to get my daughters and them after the Charleston, Missouri Police Department came in my house on May the 19th, 2018, a little bit after midnight, took my daughters and them out. This is leading up to something, if you follow what I'm saying. Took them out against my will. against their will, gave them to their mother who shouldn't have had them. I found them back. I found them 70 days later on July the 28th, 2008. I brought them back here, got back to Charleston from Chicago about a little bit after midnight, which had made it the 29th of July. If I didn't say July at first, that was July. And I took them to their doctor in Sikeston, Missouri. He took x-rays, but he couldn't see something. But he knew something was wrong with my daughter's elbow. So he made arrangement for me to take them to the Children's Hospital in St. Louis, Missouri to see a specialist. Now, this specialist took x-rays and she was able to tell me that my daughter's elbow had been had a half fracture for a minimum of 2 weeks because she seen the way the calcium was growing back, building back up from the fracture. She said it could have been, it was at a minimum, no less than 2 weeks. It could have been more. They knew she couldn't have had it when they took them out of my house because they had been gone for 70 days, 70 nights. Charleston Police, Chicago Police, Charleston, Missouri, state of Missouri, Children and Family Service, or the Police Department. Nobody did anything, nor in Illinois. Her arm was just fractured, and that was it. Long as Raymond Ivy didn't do it, they didn't care. But the coroner said it was from the day that they found Gabby Petito's body on September the 19th, 2021. He said they estimated that her body, she had been dead for 3 to 4 weeks. Now follow me now. This is something normal that doctors do in deaths, coroners, pathologists. They get an estimated time of death if they do the proper examination. I'm going to show you they didn't do it with my son in Carbondale, Illinois, Jackson County. Now, another thing was the suspected individual that may have murdered her, which is her boyfriend. Now, the murder investigation or the death investigation is still going on in this case. But at the same time, they see he had been spending her bank card, her debit card, after her death. Guess what they did? They did what any normal law enforcement official would do. They did what any normal prosecuting attorney would do. Now I say normal. We ain't speaking about normal when you're talking about the Carbondale Police Department, the Carbondale, the Jackson County, Illinois Prosecuting Attorney's Office, which is in Murphyboro, Illinois. The Jackson County Coroner's Office, which is in Murphyboro, Illinois. And I don't know where they pathologist from. First they told me she was from Kentucky. Then they told me she was from Carterville or Centerville. And then she told me she was from Vandalia. So I don't know where she's from. But let me show you this here. They filed charges against this guy already, and he got a warrant out for him. Already. The investigation ain't done. They got for fraudulently using her card, using her pen. That's a separate case from the murder case. They got a warrant out for him already. They would do that in any state, any normal, competent, professional police officers and prosecuting attorneys would do. But we're not dealing with that in Carbondale, Illinois, Jackson County. Now let's get back to my son's death. Now, okay, he said strangulation. He couldn't give nothing else. But he said strangulation only after he did a thorough investigation, a thorough examination of the body. And he had other people looking at the body besides him. in the pathologist. Now, with my son's death, I don't know if they was EMTs or paramedics, because it's a difference. A paramedic is advanced over EMTs. Just a plain EMT just do basic life support. Paramedics do advanced life support. It's a big difference. Very big difference. Now, according to the Jackson County Deputy Coroner report, which is not even signed after completion, not even signed. You could tell he didn't do, him or his boss, the actual coroner himself for Jackson County, neither one of them examined my son's body no more than just looking, because his shirts was already off. They didn't take his pants off, didn't take his underwear off, didn't take his socks off. Now, the paramedics or the EMTs, along with the police, Carbondale police, when they was called by these students, SIU students, some Indian students, that allegedly seen my son's body hanging when they went to go check their mail. The students claimed that he got out of school, I believe about almost 2 o'clock. But yet, here it is, one of the investigators, the lead investigator for my son's so-called death investigation, the sergeant told me, he said, I don't know if they told you, but the mailman seen your son's feet hanging when he came to bring the mail to that building about 12 noon. I made a video and went back over there to show you ain't no way the mailman would have been able to see my son's feet hanging from the 3rd floor when the mailboxes is on the 1st floor. You would have to go to the 2nd floor landing to see that, but ain't no mailboxes on the 2nd floor landing. They just on the 1st floor in the right-hand corner, which there's drywall separating where my son was hung from. Now, they put on the death certificate, the time of my son's death was 1:35 p.m. Now, how did you determine my son's death was 1:35 p.m. if the student seen his body about 2? The mailman seen his body about noon. And you all made it there, I believe, about 1:35. On your thing, you said he was unresponsive. If he'd been there for a while, how else would he be? Unless he was a vampire. You see what I'm saying? But let me show you something else. This deputy coroner, told me he took my son's temperature, and my son's temperature was 76. Now, I know my son, when I seen his body, his tongue was like this. The tip of it was hanging out his mouth. Like that. Just the little tip of it. So, when you took his temperature, normally when you take a dead person's temperature, you take it rectal. And when you went to show me his body, he had no shirt on, he had pants on, and he had underwear on, and he had socks on. You removed his gym shoes. You removed money out of his hand that was balled up in it. You pried it open and took the money out and put it in. Instead of putting it in an evidence bag, you put it in a body bag. If you were going to put the money in the body bag, why didn't you put the belt that he allegedly hung himself with in the body bag? If you were going to put the money in the body bag, why didn't you, when you took his gym shoes off of his feet, why didn't you put that in the body bag? What was your purpose for taking the gym shoes off of his feet? If it was for the spotted blood on the head, spotted blood on the front of his pants and the back of his pants. But you didn't notice that because you didn't care. Y'all determined right that paramedics and the police for the Carbondale Police Department and the Jackson County Ambulance Service y'all declared my son committed suicide right then and there. Now, what made you say that my son's death was at 135? If you took his temperature and it was 76, and you subtract that from a normal temperature, which you'll get around about 22, somewhere in that area, and then when you divide that, you'll come up with the conclusion that my son died at least 12 to 14 hours before y'all made it there. Because his temperature was 76. But ain't nowhere in the pathologist's report, ain't nowhere in your coroner's report when you said what his temperature. Now, what I'm trying to figure out, why can't y'all tell us the estimated time of his death? You know why? Because if you don't know when his ribs, I said on one of the things, the first, the third, and the eighth rib, but the third, I didn't mean the third. That was an error. But the first, the seventh, and the eighth rib, if the prosecuting attorney and nobody else knows when my son's rib was fractured, how could you estimate the time of death? How did you come to the conclusion of 1:35 p.m.? When people heard noise in the hallway the previous night on the 18th. Now let's get to the white female with her black husband spending my son's food stamps after he was dead. Now, if it's a crime for Gabby Petito's boyfriend to spend a dead woman's credit card, it's a crime if a woman and her husband is spending my son's food stamp card after he dead. If it ain't, it must be a discrimination. Hold on 1 minute. Now just stay there. Or do this represent everybody? Do this represent the black people? Do this represent the homeless? Do this represent a person that's on drugs? Do this represent a person that been to prison? Now, yesterday, a lot of people celebrating Christopher Columbus. If you're going to celebrate Christopher Columbus, you might as well celebrate Hitler. Hitler was murdering Jews. And guess what Columbus was doing? Murdering and raping the natives over here. So why are you celebrating him? But let's get back to another thing. How is it that it's a crime for anybody else to spend a dead person's credit card, food stamps, but it ain't a crime for this white school teacher in Carbondale, Illinois, who worked for the Carbondale, Illinois Rebound High School as a parent educator? Why haven't she been arrested? Let me tell you what the police told me in the beginning when they questioned her around May of 2021. They told me that they are waiting until they complete their investigation. That is a whole total different thing. Whether you gonna charge them with murder or not, they gonna charge this guy 9 out of 10 times that killed Gabby. They gonna charge her with murder, but right now, their investigation is fresh. My son been dead over 200 days. This case of Gabby is fresh, but they got a warrant out for this guy already. Not for the murder, but for spending her bank card. Now, who issues the card for the food stamps? The state do. Who issues the money that was put on there? See, he was getting cash due to the pandemic, and he was getting food stamps. If they spent the food stamp, they spent the cash too. That's a crime. But let me tell you this here. They been closed their case. They didn't. The Carbondale Police Department never told me they closed it. Just like the coroner's office never told me he determined my son's death was suicide. They ain't investigating nothing else but to try to bring something on suicide. They didn't look at the fact he had money balled up in his hand. They didn't look at the fact a black man and his wife was spending his food stamp card when he was alive and dead. They didn't look at the fact another white woman claimed she found his wallet. How you know it was his wallet? And she said, wasn't nothing in it. How you know it was his wallet? 5 blocks away, a drug addict. A known drug addict and a known prostitute. How you notice this my son wallet and it's wrapped up, she said, real gentle, sitting on some stairs? How did this other white woman around the corner on another street up on the 3rd floor right in front of her house, how did she know these was my son t-shirts on the 3rd floor? Then she go down to the 2nd floor, see a mask. How does she know this is his mask? Then she go downstairs to the 1st floor and notice that a fire extinguisher box was broke, the glass was broken, and the fire extinguisher was missing. How did she know that my son had something to do with this? Then she go outside of the building to the left on the side of the building where the police claim, where the state's prosecuting attorney claimed that the police had sealed off. But this woman made it from the 3rd floor to the 2nd floor to the 1st floor outside of the building and took pictures of everything that I just told you. And then went around the corner where my son allegedly hung himself and told the police this stuff up there. After she took pictures of it, they didn't see nothing strange about that. His wallet, 5 blocks away, a female working at a school 2 blocks away, spending his food stamp when he dead now. And then when I was up there about a week or 2 ago, a guy said he seen a guy with my son's ID card. State of Illinois' ID card. But the police don't see nothing about that. All they looking at is 2 things. On July the 15th of last year, when they said he went to the hospital and said that he wanted to jump off the 2nd story building. Then on March of 2021, when they said he went to the hospital, same hospital, said that he wants to hang himself. But see, something wrong there. They claiming about how he had all these mental problems. Then why didn't you go to court? Even if he didn't want to stay in a place, why didn't y'all say he was a danger to himself and to the public if he got all these suicidal intentions that you all claim he had? You had enough time on March the 24th to put 2 warrants out for him. March the 24th or the 26th, he been dead since March the 19th. But the prosecuting attorney in the city of Carbondale, Illinois, y'all put 2 warrants out for him. Then on the 24th or the 25th, maybe the 26th, then you said, unfortunately, he's deceased, and y'all dismissing the charges. You could put a warrant out for him. But you couldn't put a court order to keep him locked up in some mental place if y'all thought he was suicidal. He wasn't suicidal. He didn't kill himself. Y'all determined that from the beginning. See this thing with Gabby, God showing me something to show how they did a thorough investigation. See, they said that her death was strangulation. I'm sure my son was strangled before he was put up there. Because rigor mortis was already set in. He had all these other bruises on his lip. Something on his forehead. 3 ribs fractured. One of them, the 7th rib, have hemorrhaging in it. Bruises on his side and his knee. A cut on the side of his hand. All let out weight him going to the hospital on the 11th of March in 2021 saying he want to commit suicide. It outweighed when he went, according to y'all, July the 15th, 2020, to say he want to jump off a second-story building. What y'all done did, y'all done let some of them coward snitches of y'all, God gonna reveal it, them coward snitches of y'all killed my son, and I believe the Carbondale Police Department has something to do with it. Because they didn't try to investigate nothing else but suicide. If there was any place else, that woman and her husband would have been arrested. They knew him since May. This is going on November. This is October going on November, and ain't nobody arrested for that. The federal government even said that information, both of them should have been arrested. Whether you let them out on bond or not, if they do get arrested, I'm going to ask that the prosecuting attorney for Jackson County don't handle the case because it's a conflict of interest, because the black guy whose wife got caught spending my son's food stamp, he tried to give me this prosecuting attorney's personal phone number saying that he know him, but don't tell him he gave it to me. And I told the prosecuting attorney that. I'm going to leave right now, but hey, Carbondale, y'all need to find some other leaders than them people in the Rock Hill or Hill Rock church there for the NAACP. Y'all need to find somebody else besides them. All you got to do is see how many times they done came out when shootings have came and it ain't making the big thing on the news. They came out with the Southern Illinois girl that, from the SIU from Chicago. You see, I'm going to show you the pattern with the police. You see, the feds done offered $10,000 reward for the murder of the young girl from Chicago who was killed in the house party on Cherry Street on August the 22nd, 2021. Now the Carbondale Police Department is putting up a $5,000 reward and begging people if they got any information. But they ain't asked nobody damn time about my son. You know why? Because they trying to clean it up. But you ain't gonna clean this one here. I want you to tell the feds and everybody else why them two people ain't charged. Or is it's okay for a white woman, if she got a black husband or a white husband, to spend a dead black person's thing? I think it's racism. I told the Carbondale, Illinois chapter of the NAACP, I thought it was racism. But they ain't did nothing in this case. Nothing at all. I'm going to leave for right now. But y'all ask yourself, how is it that these people ain't been charged and they've been knowing about the Carbondale Police Department and the Jackson County, Illinois state's attorney, newly elected, y'all, Spanish guy, talking about what he gonna do for the people? All he doing is trying to lock up as many as blacks as he can. He don't care about what happened to my son, but I do. And ask him why he tell me on the 23rd he gonna close this case. He ain't closing it because he know it's a whole bunch of stuff that wasn't done. My son's name wasn't mentioned damn time in any paper. Anybody got any information how this white girl found my son's wallet? Anybody got any information about this drug addict white girl that found my son's t-shirt, mask, in a so-called axe that he had, and the fire signals that was missing? It could have been what caused the blunt trauma that the pathologist said. You see, the coroner and the coroner in his a deputy coroner, they wouldn't have known about any blunt trauma. They didn't even know about what was up under him. They couldn't have took his temperature because they didn't take his clothes off. They didn't take his underwear and his pants off. They didn't even take his socks off. If they took his socks off like they took his gym shoes off, they'd have found the drugs in his sock. They didn't find the drugs in his sock because they didn't want to. They wanted the pathologist to find it because they put it in there. Because on the 11th of March 2021, the people at that Samaritan house said when they called the police to take my son to the hospital. Sergeant Draper took his pipe that my son had, smashed it, and took his drugs. What did he do with them drugs? Did he put that in his evidence locker? What's the status on the when my son got shot in June of 2020? What's the status on that investigation? Did he shoot himself? Y'all killed the wrong black man. Peace be still.